6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
All right, there we go. Live.
This is Alderman Walter Berman. Almost 30 years ago, I met this guy named J.B. Prisker as part of a program for young Democratic leaders. Here I was, a kid who grew up in Cabrini, and I met this guy named J.B., and I didn't even know his last name. J.B. and I became friends, and I've seen his work in neighborhoods across Chicago. I think J.B. is a heart. I think he gets
before church. That's murder media. Was murder media actually?
Love it.
The difference in J.B.
So put the church.
Good morning. Good morning. Show starts in a minute here. Right at the commercials, everybody.
J.B. has done things to help people. He has a proven track record of helping people. He has a proven track record of working with people. He has a proven track record of trying to bring people together and trying to make people better. JB's going to do a good job, and I know he's the best candidate for the state of Illinois.
Paid for by JB for governor.
When you're hiring, you don't want to sort through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com.
Hello.
Job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive.
Got Matt Sapaula, a few people from his team. What are you all's names again? Brandon?
Rosie.
And Rosie? Okay, I'll remember. All right. Matt, good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm here with Mr. Radio Voice. Right? The radio is blessed to have that radio voice with Linal.
I appreciate it.
Man.
I appreciate it.
Interesting voices and perspectives. Inspiring voices. Great to be here, man.
Excited to have you here. Excited.
Honored to be here, man.
Our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or participating sponsors.
Live from the Xfinity Studios at WVON. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris on 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
My mom said, hey, Matt.
Buenos dias. This be a little good.
Linal. Good morning, Chicago. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, Chicago's very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. Well, we're 49 days into the new year. Did you know that? 49 days and 10 days away from the end of February. So, are you taking advantage of 2018 or are you letting it slip by? Are you taking advantage of this new beginning? Because it's still the beginning, folks. It's still the beginning of the year. All right. Now, here's the deal. Based on research, based on data, those of you who have set goals, those of you who have New Year's resolutions, I know many of you have already given up. Based on the research, you've given up. You've actually thrown in the towel. We haven't even hit day 50, and you've thrown in the towel on your goals. But lucky for you, you're listening today, so you'll be inspired. Now, 1 in 10 people, right? 1 in 10 people are still pushing forward. They're still forging forward. And if you're one of those people, then lucky for you, you're listening today because we're going to be working to encourage you. But let me tell you something. I think that the fact that 1 in 2 people achieve their goals is a sin, and I'm out to change that. So today, I want to explore why that is and how we all can turn that around in 2018 right now. All right? And we're going to attack 2 specific categories to do that, because I know one thing that we all have goals in, that is work and money. Money, 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 money. All right, I got your attention yet? I say it again. I'm going to say it the other way. Money and work, okay? Now, to help me do that, I have Matt Sapaula in the studio this morning. I'm excited to have you, brother. How are you?
High fives, baby.
Yeah, man.
Glad to be here. Good morning, Chicago. Money Smart Guy in the house.
Yeah, excited to have Matt in the studio this morning. So we're going to be talking about work. We're going to be talking about money, but we're also going to be talking about Matt's story. For those of you all who don't know who Matt is, what his story is, why, and by the way, you guys know I just don't have random folks drop through, okay? So if I have someone in the studio, I believe that not only I can get something from them, but that all of us can get something from them. And so a few of the things that Matt and I are going to be talking about this morning, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions.
Sure.
Right? Because you're the expert.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to money.
Let's do it.
Because if you go to social media right now, you can find Matt out on social media as the Money Smart Guy.
That's correct.
All right. He's the first one to get the handle and probably the one that deserves the handle. All right. So good thing some other guy doesn't have that, right?
Thank God, yeah.
Walking around in his Timbs with a couple of bucks in his pocket and talking about, I got you.
You already know.
Right. So we got Matt Sapaula. You can follow him at Money Smart Guy on social media. But Matt, some of the questions I'll be asking you today is, what does it take to be successful as an entrepreneur? What does it take to be successful as an entrepreneur? And also, I want to know what your perspective is on why so many Americans are disengaged in their work. So we're going to be talking about work. We're going to be talking about money. And by the way, when I say their work, I'm not just talking about people who show up to 9 to 5s, right? Because I think you and I as entrepreneurs kind of understand why they may be disengaged. It's not their company. It's not their work. They don't see most of the money, right? I mean, in terms of their salary, they're worth, a lot more to that organization than what they're getting, right? Let's be clear.
100%.
Okay. Back when I was in corporate America, I was making a good dollar. Good dollar. And I would think all the time, if they will pay me this,
What are they really making?
what are they really making off me? And how much could I be making if I was working for myself? That's the question.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that too.
Okay.
But the other question I want to ask, and this will be in the second hour. So the first hour, we're going to be talking about work. I want to hear Matt's philosophies on work, entrepreneurship, your story, right?
Sure.
Because where'd you grow up, Matt?
Well, my first house was on the west side of Chicago, right there in Hamlin and Thomas.
Where'd you grow up?
So west side. So I grew up in Cicero, Stickney, Berwyn area. That's where I graduated. That's where my formative teenage years.
There's a lot of mansions out there.
Mansions, depends what you classify, what your definition of mansion is. But 2 flat,
Right.
3 flat brick stone.
Right, but not many mansions.
No.
Okay, so not an area where the wealthy live.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Absolutely
middle
not.
class basically.
Middle class.
All right.
Probably blue collar, middle class, lower middle class.
And let me tell you why I'm getting that out the way right now. Because I don't want anybody who listens to this show today to have a preconceived notion
Yeah.
that you, sir, came up with a silver spoon in your mouth, right?
That's right.
And that you had it laid out. It was all figured out. And basically everything you've accomplished was given to you.
That's right.
Because is that true or not?
That is 100% true. Our family comes from the Philippines, and our family, we knew nobody over here.
Okay.
Absolutely nobody. So, you're making $30,000 a year was millionaire status in our context.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I've shared this on the show before, but when I was growing up, I asked my mom and dad, "Are we rich?" Right? Because we had nice bungalow home, 1 bathroom. Right, it was 8 of us.
Everybody
right?
shared.
I didn't know that families that big had more bathrooms. I mean, really, 1 bathroom should be enough. Just hurry up, right?
Right.
But it was a nice home. Don't get me wrong, but we weren't rich.
Right.
I felt rich because so many people around me were in poverty. Right.
Interesting point.
Right, and one of the things I believe that really slows a lot of us down is we got it good.
Right. I'm all right.
I'm driving. I got a car.
You're right.
It's got heat. House has got heat.
Right.
Bed is soft.
A little bit of food.
Pillows warm. Right? And we all have this dream for more, but we don't get to it. We're going to talk about that, too, in terms of our work.
Love to.
All right, cool. So, Matt Sapaula in the studio. Now, those of you who want to join the conversation, You can give me a phone call at 773-591-1690. You can ask Matt any question that you have. Ask me any question that you have. Again, this is free coaching, folks. Free coaching on work and money.
Man, free.
Work and money, okay? I don't know how often that happens.
No, not at all.
All right, so we're going to be talking work, money. So, Matt, tell me a little bit about your childhood. Mm-hmm. You know, you mentioned that your family, so you're first generation?
I'm first generation born here in America.
Okay. And so your family, you grew up in the Philippines.
Right, so I'm first generation born here. Mm-hmm. So my folks.
Okay, you were born here.
Yeah,
okay.
Born here. And our first house was in Hamilton Thomas on the west side of Chicago. My mother was a nurse. You know, it's kind of like the Filipino traditional occupation.
Got it.
Right, so she's a nurse, and she was working downtown Chicago. And then our first home was in Humboldt Park. And then we moved to Wrigleyville. And then my 8th grade through high school and all that was in the Berlin Cicero, Stickney area. I went to Morton. So any Morton Mustangs out there?
Oh, wow.
Good friend of mine, Shorty Torres, went to Cicero. He just won his fight on Friday night at Titan FC.
Okay.
He's one of our sponsored fighters, and very proud of him. He knocked him out in, I think, the first couple minutes, right? But he's getting a call right now from the UFC.
Nice.
To fight in MMA, but he's from nowhere too as well. So
you know, as a matter of fact, I saw that you had him on an interview.
I did.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Shorty Torres, you know. So.
And the subject, you know, not to digress, but I think this is important. The subject of that interview was
mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
Gotta be mentally tough, man.
To especially be an entrepreneur, but 100%. I would say also to be someone that works in corporate America, especially a person of color that works in corporate America. You got to be mentally tough.
Yeah,
you must be.
Yeah, because you know the conversation. You know, for example, my wife. You know, she's half white, half black, American, Indian, and Cuban.
Okay.
And she's always fought to get higher in corporate America. She was working for Stryker Medical, and she found it in sales. So she was working inside sales. But she finally got a territory after 3-4 years being inside. She finally got her own territory, working my way, that's how I met my wife.
Okay.
Because my mother was a nurse, visiting my mom, right? And the next thing you know, I see this beautiful, gorgeous woman just sitting on a hospital bed. I'm like, my goodness, I got to turn on my entrepreneurial skills and learn how to prospect and put those to task.
Right.
And so, you know, listen, because I was an entrepreneur, it gave me confidence to approach my now wife.
How about that?
Because a lot of guys, we don't approach the girl we want to talk to because we're afraid of getting turned down.
No, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. All right, see, all these things going through my head already. I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about no and how people relate to the word no.
Yeah.
And how it stops so many people from achieving their dreams.
Yeah.
Because that's a big... Now, think about that, right? If you hadn't approached your wife because you were afraid that she would say no, you wouldn't be married.
No, I would be married. I may not even be here. You know, because there's been such a blessing after we made that union. Just, you know what? Let's get right with God, right? Get our personal life in order. So therefore, our business life and everything externally can get in order. I got to get right first. Me. That's my priority.
Right.
Once I got that foundation, boom.
Love it.
Life 10 times, man.
My wife told me no. How many times did she say no? The first time I asked her out to coffee, no. Hey, can we meet for coffee again? No. I had to get creative to get that yes. And it was not a day. I said, hey, this is a networking event. Because she's an entrepreneur. I'm like, what works on a woman that's an entrepreneur? A networking event. There's a networking event that included a movie.
I like to pick your brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And there's other people there that would be great for your business. Okay. It wasn't even a yes. It was okay. I didn't get a yes to the next day when I was like, I really want to take you out.
Right.
It's like, all right. Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah. And not really a date. I just want to learn more about life coaching. I was like, that's all right. Just come on with me by yourself. The rest is history.
Smooth getting in there, man.
Hey, but the point is, if you settle, if you settle for that, for not asking because you're going to get a no or you're anticipating a no, so many things don't happen.
Settling equals mediocrity.
I'm with you on that.
We want to murder that.
All right, so back to your story.
Sure.
So here you are, young man. You went to high school, college. What happens after that?
No, so I never went to college.
Never went to college. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I went to high school, and I was touring some colleges.
So wait a second.
Here we go.
Not yeah. So you didn't go to college?
After the Marine Corps, I took a couple years in college with my GI Bill, but not directly out of high school.
And your net worth is over $1 million.
Yeah, easy.
How about that?
Yeah.
That makes two of us.
Actually, no, I'm a co-owner. I haven't done this lately. We got to meet with our accountant, but I'm a co-owner of a $100 million company.
So, man,
yeah.
Now, one of the things I always say, man, I say this on the show all the time, that we're not taught what we need to know in school.
No.
Right? So when we go through, you said it, right? I didn't go to college. Mm-hmm. What did that do to you, your psyche, knowing, okay, I didn't go to college, I went to the Marines. Now, and I want to talk about the Marines, so we're going to come back to that. But let's just fast forward to when, you're honorably discharged.
Right.
And now you're like, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that do when you're like, okay, I don't have a degree.
Yeah.
I don't have, you do have that background in the Marines.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure you developed some mental toughness.
Of course, yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how did that shift your mind in terms of how you had to learn to be successful?
So when I left the Marine Corps, I was a single father with custody of my son.
Okay.
And I had to find a way to make dual income. I couldn't stay in the Marine Corps because I was attached to a special operations unit and said, hey, Sapaula, you are deployable tomorrow and you can't have custody of your kid.
Wow.
So as much as you fought in court to get custody of your son, all that legal fees that you had to pay, all that heartache, listen, you got to give them back to the mom because your first job as your priority is a deployable special operations United States Marine.
Whoa.
So talking about mental toughness, so I had to choose. I had to choose versus a career I loved, but didn't pay me enough, versus being a father. And
wow.
I think through my process of how disconnected I was with my dad growing up, I wanted to be a father.
Yeah.
And so I chose that. Now we're getting recruited into the financial services industry. I wish I could say I was smart enough to find myself interviewing for a financial company, but a recruiter found me first. Mm-hmm. And I was like, first of all, man, I'm inadequate. I don't have a college degree. I don't have a financial background. I don't even have any business background.
Okay.
I don't even know how to sell.
Okay.
He said, listen, you have character. I can teach you skill. But if you come here with character, not to say that you're not going to go through failures, but if you have high character, mental toughness, and not settle, we can teach you everything you need to know.
All right, so two things that you had that he said would work for you. Mm-hmm. Character, mental toughness. No degree.
Nope.
No sales background.
Nope.
Right? Or no love for sales, right? Because you have some people who just love that, man. They just love to sell folks,
yeah.
right? And then you have others like us who are kind of like, okay, got to do this.
Right.
If I want to maintain, right? If I want to, so I got to get this competency under my belt. Mm-hmm. And so you basically, I'm guessing you learned these things.
I did because I had to survive. As much as I needed time to learn something to pay the bills weren't waiting. Rent needed to be paid. My son, school, later on, my twins, diapers, all these different things started coming along. And then I had to find ways to make sure that I was making double the income and flexibility to drop off my kids, pick up my kids, do things that parents do, homework and dinner and activities and all that stuff. And I needed to find a way to do that in 6-8 hours a day.
Wow. So hold on, 6 to 8 hours a day. That's key too, because one of the things I find, I have people call into the show sometimes. Mm-hmm. I have clients who say, Linal, I just don't have enough energy. I'm fatigued by the end of the day, because there's really, when you think about your day, right? Even if you don't sleep 8 hours, let's say you sleep 6 hours, right? Yeah. Most people, the time it takes them to leave for work and get home from work, that's about 12 hours on average, right? Yeah. In terms of like complete turnaround from getting ready that morning to actually commuting, to actually getting home and saying, okay, now what? Yeah. Right, about 12 hours. So that leaves most people about 4 to 6 hours. And you're telling me you use that time how? Yeah,
so I use that time to continue growing my business, to continue developing myself.
So give me some tangibles, like doing what? Like what were you doing?
So for example, because I thought I was inadequate coming out the Marine Corps, I took time to go to school to DePaul to take my GI Bill to learn financial planning, right? And so I remember my professor and the rest of the kids at school, which I had a chip on my shoulder because everybody's younger than me, but they thought they were smarter than me. Right? So what do you know? I just spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. I'm 24, 25 years old at the time. What do you know more about life? You're smarter than me. You're kicking my tail here in class, but man, I know more about life than you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. They're like, yeah, right. What are you going to be doing? I'm working for TIAA-CREF. I'm working for Vanguard. I'm working for the big bank, Northern Trust.
Right.
I'm working for the big banks with my financial planning.
Okay.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm already inadequate because I don't have a college degree. I'm even more inadequate because nobody's following the entrepreneur path. I was. And then my professor, Mr. Adams, he's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to be in business. I'm going to own my insurance deal. I'm going to own my own financial deal. It's like, ha, ha, ha. Like, why are you laughing at me? This is financial planning class. I can't own my own business? So, well, I'm an adjunct professor here and I'm a CPA, right? So everybody's laughing at me. 2 years later, right, I'm getting this thing launched off, and I see Mr. Adams' class. I'm taking his tax planning class.
Right.
And so, how's that thing you're doing? I'm like, well, I'm starting to make $10,000 a month now. He says, what are you talking about? Because you know why, Linal? I started hanging around.
That's 6 figures, by the way.
That's figures.
Yeah.
Because I started hanging around with people. They were making 6 figures.
All right, let's slow down. There's a lot that you're saying that I want to dissect. Okay.
Yeah.
First, you were told that you couldn't. You can't. Right.
Right.
We got a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I mean, and it sounds like that fires you up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
tell me I can't.
One of my favorite lines by Kanye is, "I used to hate esteem to power my dreams."
Ooh.
Right?
That's right.
I mean, I love that line because I've been told I couldn't do a lot of things. I mean, one of them was speak.
Mm-hmm. And you do that very well.
Well, I developed it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't speak that well. I couldn't articulate my thoughts. Right? I would get nervous. But I knew I wanted to speak.
Yeah.
So I practiced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was told I couldn't. I was told I couldn't be a leader. I was told I couldn't do a lot of things. And what I'm hearing is that you were told you couldn't.
That's right.
So why didn't you believe them?
I guess it's a weird thing inside you. It says, you know what? I don't care what your opinion is of me. I know more about me, regardless of whether I had the pedigree or the circumstances or the upbringing. Because at that time I didn't. I was always dreamt when I was playing high school football. I always dreamt me catching that touchdown.
Okay.
Right? Bomb it to me, man. Throw me the ball, which never happened in high school.
Right.
Because we ran an option offense. And we had a wishbone offense. It wasn't like these spread options where you have today.
So no deep passes like
no
that.
deep passes.
Right.
I mean, we ran the ball left, we ran the ball right, option quarterback, right? Pop pass maybe to me, but I never caught the deep pass because I grew up during the Chicago Bears era.
But there's something important about that because you saw it in your head. You saw yourself being a winner in your mind at a young age.
Yes.
And that's something that you could do. And if the ball was in the air, you would catch it.
Give me the ball, I'll come up and get it.
And the reason I'm pointing that out is because one of the things I talk about on the show a lot is how we view ourselves in our minds, right? A lot of us, we get beat not by the person that says we can't, but we get beat by ourselves, by our mental self-talk. That's like, who you think you are?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right. You don't deserve that.
You really think, who else looks like you that's done that? Right? Who else doesn't have a college degree that's achieved that? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I went from entry level in corporate America to vice president, officer of a company without a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Constant self-talk that I had to knock down was, not possible, dude.
Yeah.
Not possible. In my head, I'm like, yes, it is possible.
Yeah.
I am a vice president. I am, right? So that's self-talk. So tell me a little bit about your self-talk.
So my self-talk when I was in the Marine Corps, when you were at a certain rank and you're looking, let's say, for example, I'm a Lance Corporal and I want to become a Corporal. I'm a Corporal and I want to become a Sergeant. We had the self-talk saying like this: act as if. Act as if you're the next man up.
You were trained this?
Yep, I was trained this in
the Marines.
Yep. Yeah, Marine Corps is my daddy.
I mean, but this is excellent because it shows that it can be trained,
right? Which
means that anybody can learn how to do it.
Yep, bada bing, bada bang. You don't have to have all the tools at the beginning to get started. You just have to be putting yourself in a position where you can acquire those tools. And even my mentors in the Marine Corps weren't even my platoon sergeants, because I looked at other platoon sergeants like you were a drill instructor, you were a Marine security guard. You did so much in your tour compared to my status, which I respected, but I gravitated to the sergeant, the platoon sergeant, that had more experience in the Fleet Marine Force.
All right, so let me tell you all something. What I just heard from Matt. If you want to develop mental toughness, if you want to develop characteristics and traits and competencies that you don't have, you need to go find yourself a mentor or a leader to help you do those things.
That's right.
Like get yourself underneath them to do those things. A few weeks ago we were talking about Martin Luther King, and I was talking about how he was a virtual mentor. Why did I choose him as a virtual mentor? Because he had characteristics. He had ways of being that I admired, that I wanted to be able to take on for myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then what do? I study the man.
Yeah.
I read everything he wrote. I listened to everything he said. So I can take those things on. What I hear you saying is, look, folks, if you want to be a winner, you got to follow a winner.
That's it, period.
That's a great point. So Matt Sapaula, by the way, is speaking at the Murder Mediocrity Summit coming up March 31st, 2018. Yes. He is going to be covering the work and money pillar. He's presenting on the work and money pillar. I think you're starting to figure out why. Why? And by the way, we're only 30 minutes in, and we still got 90 minutes left. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. If you're interested in going to the Murder Mediocrity Summit, you can go to murdermediocrity.com to purchase your tickets. Right now, tickets are 30% off. Now, that's for a limited time. Let me tell you, it's not going to stay that way. I keep telling you all, I have to go up on the prices as I market, okay? 30% off. So get out there, get your tickets, murdermediocrity.com. Matt Sapaula covering pillar number 3, work and money. Work and money. Now, last week, Matt, we had on Love McPherson. She's a relationship and love coach, yes, or a relationship expert and coach. Okay. Man, she that mic right there was hot by the time she left. I imagine it's going to be just as steamy. Yeah, we're just warming up right now, right? And then announcement in terms of the speaker who will be covering health and well-being, everyone. Dr. Camila Stevenson will be in the building covering health and well-being. Now, if you don't know who Dr. Camila Stevenson is, you need to go Google her, all right? And find out who she is. Listen to her YouTube videos, because this woman is amazing when it comes to health and well-being. And one of the reasons why she will be there is because she's a researcher and she understands what it takes for us to live our best life. It ain't just about going to the gym and working hard, okay? Sometimes these things aren't that hard. Sometimes it's just about having the right knowledge. And she's going to be dropping that knowledge, everybody. So Dr. Camila Stevenson covering pillar number 1. Love McPherson covering pillar number 2, which is relationships and love. And then Matt Sapaula, who's in the studio this morning, covering work and money. Ka-ching. All right. The 4th pillar is purpose and spirituality, and yours truly will be covering that one. All right. So, Matt.
Yep.
We're talking about mentorship, leadership, and work. And who was one of your worst leaders? You don't got to name them, but tell me what you learned from them. And as you're thinking, here's one of the reasons I'm asking. Because all too often when it comes to our work, we're at effect of the person who's leading us, right? Okay. And when we're at effect of them, and sometimes what happens is we allow that person to dictate how we show up. We allow that person to dictate our success. We allow that person to dictate what it is that we create and even the money that we make, right? Well, I can't really do well because I don't have the support I need. If my boss was just a little bit better, I'd be able to make more money, especially if it's sales or commission or something like that. He doesn't lift me up. He doesn't help me the way I need him to help. And my worst leader was my best teacher. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that. Okay. But I learned confidence from my worst leader. Yeah. Because she was wrong all the time. But she said it confidently. Right. And because I was the expert, I knew she was wrong. But I would be hesitant in terms of how I would speak, right? And I learned confidence in my speaking from her. Like, man, if this woman can speak and be wrong all the time, I can be speak and be right about the things I know I'm right about. Sure. Right? So what did you learn from one of your worst leaders?
I think one of the things I learned from them was the expectation and entitlement that they had, granted because they're a boss. In my opinion, when I was in the Marine Corps, you were a leader because not about what your title said, but what you did in training, what you did in the battlefield. And when you are a leader, regardless of title, and you think people need to be subordinate to you, I just didn't like that. So I think using your approach, when I decided to become a leader, I wanted to become a leader that people can respect, that had moral authority. Because this person, my first job was out of the Marine Corps, thinking I was going to stay in Southern California, was a sales job for a protein company called Metrex. They used to sell Troy Aikman, a lot of these athletes. And so I was taking a sales, and did my first job in sales. But she expected me just to kind of bow down to her. just because she was a boss.
Right.
Like she get mad at me for clocking in at, instead of 7 o'clock in 30 seconds. 7 o'clock. I'm like, what's the issue? You're supposed to clock in at 7 o'clock. Well, I was in the break room getting a protein shake together to get my jam on so I can sell a ton of stuff. And you get mad for clocking at 7 o'clock in 30 seconds? Wow, really? That particular, and yet you're leading a bunch of salespeople who don't like to be controlled.
Right.
And so that her was worse. That's the first time I ever got fired from a job. The last time I got fired from a job, by the way.
Oh, right. Good for you, man. I got fired a lot.
Yeah. Because after that, I decided, you know what? I'm never going to be fired again. I'm never going to let anybody control, because here's the way I look at work. Here's the way I look at money. He that controls your money, he that controls your income, controls your life.
Boom.
I don't want to be controlled.
Gotcha.
So I learned that from my worst leader, because she felt entitled. The boss above her, he felt entitled. I wanted to respect. I wanted to work with you. I want to jam out with you, but I'm not going to be the type of guy that's going to bow down to you just because you're my boss.
So you said something: moral leadership and character. Tell me what you mean by that.
That you are in the grind as well. That you're in the trenches. Like the guys I respected the most in the Marine Corps, where I said, you know what, we're not going to run 5 miles. I'm running with you. I'm right next to you. That's moral authority to me. The guys that we had least amount of respect for were guys that were flying up in the air, telling us what we need to do in the ground. Yeah. And by the way, the guy up in the air when we were in combat, they were trying to guide us to where we needed to go, but they were the political arm of our combat experience.
Right.
To make sure everything, the rules of engagement, the Geneva Code is followed.
Right.
To make sure that while we're in combat, that we are following the rules of engagement, that we didn't get America in trouble more than it was.
Right.
And so we never respected those guys, because we cared about the guys that were boots on the ground, kicking in doors and clearing homes.
That leader that was jumping out the trench before you was talking about, hey, let's go.
Let's go.
Got it.
Follow me.
Got it.
You'll see my back more than you see my front.
Now, that's a huge leadership lesson, because I think a lot of us as leaders, right? We do. The ego likes the title.
Yep.
The ego likes being the number one guy, right?
Yeah.
And what we forget is that true leadership is in our character.
Yeah, because what I realized is that there's 4 main areas of income and work. Is number one, the first phase is survivability.
Okay.
Like I'm doing whatever I need to do just to survive. And most people now will never get out of survivability.
And you know what? One of the things I coach, one of the first things we talk about in coaching is the survival mechanism and how it basically will arrest you whenever change is coming.
Right.
Even good change. So most people are afraid of success and they don't even know it.
Right.
Because their survival mechanism is like, no, you ain't. We know how to navigate lots of bills. We know how to navigate just a little bit of money.
Yeah.
We know how to navigate driving a car that breaks down all the time. we know, we got that figured out. We know to call mama to get the extra $300.
Yeah.
We know to call the cousin to get us to the car when it breaks down. We know how to do all that.
Yeah.
Don't change anything. Who is this guy, Matt Sapaula, talking about he can help me become a millionaire? Forget him. He's full of it, right? That's what the survival mechanism will say, right? Who is this guy, Linal Harris, who said he can coach you out of that? That's not possible.
Right.
Forget him.
Right.
Leave him alone. Don't go to that summit. Stay exactly where you are. That's what the survival mechanism says.
That's right. And survival mechanisms always expecting somebody else to take care of you. In all that dialogue they just said, somebody else is supposed to take care of you.
You're a victim.
Yeah, instead of you taking ownership of your current situation. That's why you're stuck in survival mode.
Wow.
And sadly, if you don't remove yourself from survival mode, guess what you do to your children?
You teach them the same thing.
Yeah, you pass on a generational curse, man.
Wow.
Generational poverty. And the way America's going today, you can be in generational abject poverty. Not just poverty, but the worst form of poverty. Because to me, I've been broke. We've been broke, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been broke. But being poor is a condition of the heart.
I believe that.
Yep.
I believe that. Yep. The heart, the mind, and the soul.
Yep.
I would say that.
All
It's a condition of, So what's number 2? Survivability is number 1.
And then status is number 2.
Status. Tell me about that.
I got the job, now I can get the car, now I can get the apartment, now I can get the condo, and I can get the house. I got status. I'm making more money than my friends, right? Go to the 10-year high school reunion, 20-year high school reunion. I'm a lot better than everybody else. I got status. I got the ring. I got the watches.
Yeah.
It looks good on Facebook.
So take that a step deeper. Like what when you say number 1 is survivability, number 2 is status. Why is status number 2?
Status, that's the next one. We would aspire, because a lot of us aspire to get the car, to get the right zip code to live in, to put our kids in the right schools. So that's status. Man, I'm a lot better than everybody else in my family. Boom, I'm in status now.
So step 1 is I'm just trying to survive. Right. And then step 2 is
I've improved a little bit.
Yeah, and I got some status. Like I'm trying to get some status.
Right.
Like for me, at one point in my life, it was about getting to the next title. Right.
Right.
Okay, I'm a manager.
Yep.
And I know that the status of director.
Yeah.
And the money, the money of director.
Sure.
Right, is nice.
Yeah.
So I just want that status.
Yep.
So that's what you're saying.
Sure.
Okay.
And
that's what drove me.
And guess what? That drives us because we're taught that in schools. That's an academic, educational, mindset.
Ego based.
It is. I'm part of it. I'm status. I'm honor roll. You know, what ticked me off about honor roll? I never made it. I never made it to status. Like here I am, continuing to feel inadequate when it came to work. I just wasn't a good student.
Right.
Right. I was decent in grade school, middle school, high school. I was just doing it just to play sports.
You know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna say you were a phenomenal student. You weren't being taught the proper way.
There you go.
And here's why: because the fruit that you've created shows that you're a phenomenal student.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of our children aren't being taught the right way.
Right.
Because there's different modalities of learning, right? We all learn differently, but the teachers are teaching the same way. And so those of you who are listening, guard your children.
Yeah.
Guard them. Don't let those teachers, he just doesn't get it. He's a little slow. No, he learns differently. Figure out how your child learns.
And think about it. Speaking of schools, the kids are around other kids and teachers and principals for a majority of the day than they are with you.
Yeah.
And if you're spending 12 hours a day at your job and commuting, how much time are you really spending with your children having conversations with them?
Figuring out how they learn.
Yeah.
And who they are.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Charlie Munger was one of Warren Buffett's, the richest guy. Was the third richest guy now, because it's now Amazon.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
and now
Bezos. Yeah.
Bezos and now Bill Gates.
Right.
And then Buffett's number 3. That's $60 billion. Right. But his greatest confidant was Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger always had dinner with his kids and always gave them a mistake at dinner. It wasn't what to do well. It's one mistake that somebody did in his business or the business he invested in or analyzed that took that business down, that took that leader down. So it's teaching the kids not just the success values, but also the values that will cause you to tumble.
And Bill Gates, by the way, was very similar. Very similar. In terms of how the time he spent with his children and making sure, by the way, that they weren't consumed with technology. How about that?
Look at that.
And here's the thing, right? They sell these things to us, and then what we do instead of spending time with the child is we throw a tablet in front of them. Oh, I'm so tired. Just watch that.
Yeah.
And the guy who made the tablet is like, hey Johnny, how was school today?
Yeah. Let me take that away real quick.
And by the way, your hour's up on the tablet.
Parental controls.
Yep. Exactly. So survivability, status. What's number 3?
Number 3 is freedom.
Freedom.
Now I experienced a little bit of freedom. You're elevating, right? You hit a number. Well, again, which 90% of people don't hit. But they can't.
Yeah.
And they start, I'm not worried about sliding this credit card anymore without checking my app to see if I have enough money in my balance.
Man, don't
just
feel
to slide the card. Or you walking by a dealership and say, babe, any car. I remember the days where I had to sit in these dealerships waiting room for 30 minutes to see if I can qualify for this car because I had a 220 credit score.
By the way, you're sweating too.
Yeah.
Man, I hope. Ooh, please.
Well, I get it.
Yeah.
Or I got to downgrade my car or increase my payment.
Exactly.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And so knowing that you have confidence, knowing that I can buy any car in here either with my credit or just swiping my credit card. That's freedom.
Man.
I can retire my mom and dad. I can send my kid to school. Our son Jojo was told by his teachers that he was ADD. He's 5 years old. What 5-year-old kid boy do you know that doesn't have itchy butt? Can I say that on radio?
Yeah, you can say
okay.
You can say that.
What kid at 5 years old doesn't have itchy butt? But the teacher said you might want to consider taking him and getting him on prescription drugs.
Oh no, are you serious?
Oh yeah.
The teacher?
Yeah.
The teacher?
Because you know why? She says my kid's got ADD and he's on drugs.
What?
And we said, great. How's that working out?
Exactly.
She's like, well, we still have our tough moments. It's not working out.
No, it's not.
So we take Jojo to a chiropractic doctor that has an alternative treatment called brain therapy by teaching him how to focus on this movie and sight. It's like a virtual reality type of thing. $6,500 for a treatment not covered by insurance.
Freedom.
You know what Sheena does? You know what Mom does?
What?
Okay, great. Do we have a discount if we pay up front right now?
Exactly.
So her money smart kicked in. If I pay up front in cash, because cash talks,
Boom.
do I have a discount if I pay up front right now? Unlike the other parents who's got to finance this, for 6 months at a time.
And that all, let me tell you right now, I have clients that pay up front. 6-month stints, they always get a discount.
Of course.
Always.
Of course.
Money in my pocket right now, absolutely.
Right.
I can make that 5-6% up
Right.
in the bank.
You have the right money. You go to a doctor, you go to a dentist, vets, medical and healthcare treatment. If you pay up front, if you pay cash pay, because they know they don't have to send their staff to chase down the insurance companies to pay the bill. They'll give you a discount, and usually sometimes the discount is 50-60%. But then again, you have to have cash and cash flow to be able to dictate freedom.
To be able to dictate freedom. And by the way, one of the things I've learned from coaching executives is that they have status, but they don't have freedom. And I was an executive, right? I left corporate America in 2015. And let me tell you, 2015, I never felt more in bondage. I was never hired in corporate America. Never got paid more. I was getting paid more than I ever got paid. I had the position, sexy. When I told people, they're like, oh, okay. Oh, I got to pay attention to this guy, right? So title, status, but I was bound.
How were you bound?
I was bound because, one, I had to show up and do work that I wasn't necessarily passionate about, right? I was bound that way. I was bound because I had to show up to an office every day, regardless of how much work I had, to 9 to 5 at least, just to save face. I had to be there. And let something happen on the other side of the country that requires my services. Linal, are you on a plane tonight? Right? Hey, we don't care about your wife. We don't care if your son is, sick or anything like that. It's
the priority is company.
Right? Priority is the company. You must go. Right? I spent 12 years traveling the world, and the cool thing about it is I got to see the world. But the other piece about it is I didn't have a choice.
And you were alone.
And I was alone. Right? I was by myself.
So I see a lot of people traveling. I can do this is my job, do this is my business. But who are you taking with you? How are you leading?
Exactly.
Right? Our theme this year is the year of distinction, and it's about be one, build one. So you be one, you be free. Or you elevate from survivability.
And when you say our theme, what do you mean our theme? So give us some context.
In our company, in our company we have a theme for 2000 PHP agency.
Okay.
Right? And what
does PHP do?
PHP agency is an insurance firm that does retirement services and life insurance.
Okay.
And so what we do is insurance, but who we are is a leadership development company.
Okay. I love that.
Right?
Why is that important?
It's important because it's not about the what, it's about the why and the who. As much as the insurance industry and the common agent today, the average agent in the industry today is a 60-year-old Caucasian male.
True.
I've been doing this now for 19 years. I've always been the youngest. I've always been the minority. I've always been the guy. I remember speaking at a conference one time, but I was invited to speak at this financial conference because I was kicking everybody's tail by the time I was 30 years old.
Okay.
I made my first $1 million before I was 30 years old. And I remember being asked to speak. I was the #1 guy producing out of 25,000 agents. No college degree, no college background, no financial background. At this point, no mentor. I just kind of figured it out on my own. Okay. No YouTube, right? Just figuring myself on my own. I was asked to speak. I go backstage.
Which means you're a phenomenal student, by the way.
Well, I appreciate it. Books,
right?
And I was going to get mic'd up, and the stage manager said, "Matt Sapaula's next. Matt Sapaula's next." And by the way, I'm Filipino, right? But Matt Sapaula doesn't sound Filipino. It sounds more Italian, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound very ethnic. So she looked straight at me. "We're looking for Matt Sapaula. Do you work for him?" Man, no, I'm him. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize."
That's happened to me a lot.
Right, because they're expecting, when they see a name, they're expecting to see somebody else.
Well, they see the name, they see the title, right, and they're like, "Can't be you," based on stereotypes, right? Can't be you. Yeah. Where's your boss?
Yeah. You work for him, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And he's very unreasonable. Unreasonable man. Unreasonable boss. By the way, Linal Harris.
Right. Exactly, right? That guy.
Yeah.
So I've always been that guy. And so now PHP agency, we're disrupting the insurance industry. How can I quantify that? How can I say that? Well, number one, Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, is an investor in my company.
Okay.
He gave us $10 million to expand and grow our company. Why? 2009, we started with 60 guys. In the middle of a recession.
2009.
October
that's
2009. Recession.
Yeah.
In the midst of it.
Everybody was in a hole.
Everybody's down.
Yeah.
But guess who else started? What other business started? Uber, Airbnb, now PHP agency. We started in 2009.
Wow.
Right? And so we now have 5,500 agents across the country. And we're dominating also in Puerto Rico. The only state we're not in is Montana. They require us to have somebody there full time to be licensed there, but we can't find anybody to relocate to Montana to help the 6 people out there.
What? You can't
we can't find Marlboro people.
And because here's the thing, the 6 people there, they're going to write some big policies.
They own Montana.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what PHB agency does. And, you know, insurance is a commodity.
Uh-huh.
But how do we, like, for example, Amazon, they sell commodities.
Yeah.
But they're recreating the user experience. They disrupted Walmart. They disrupted Sears. We're disrupting our industry.
So real quick, because somebody out there is thinking, okay, we're talking about life insurance now for real. Like, you know, so why is this important in terms of work and money? Like, how does you know, the work that you do in terms of writing policies for individuals, how does that translate to working money for someone in the middle class who wants to be wealthy, who wants to gain some wealth, or even create some generational wealth?
You nailed it on the head. One word: legacy. Jay-Z on his album 444, legacy. Matter of fact, Dad, he opens up the song. Dad, what's a will?
He sure does. He
drops it.
And I believe one of the reasons he did that is because he's trying to get individuals in the African American community that listen to him to be asked the same question.
Bingo. And think about this. This is grown man Jay-Z. Not, you know, I'm a hustler, baby. No, this is Dad, what's a will?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same guy. But now his maturity said, okay, now I need to get my finances in order.
Exactly. Because I did hustle to get this.
Right.
So I don't want to...
And I want to sustain it.
Exactly.
And I want to make sure my children inherit it, right? And by the way, we have another thing at our office about the successful Hollywood types that screwed up their finances when they transferred it to the next generation. Michael Jackson, Prince, they screwed up their finances. Why? Because they didn't have the end of the conversation road of, okay, how do I transfer this to the people I love and care about without Uncle Sam getting in the middle?
And dictating what they wanted from the grave, right? Like Muhammad Ali did.
Yeah, right.
Muhammad Ali's like, all this stuff, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of mess there.
Right.
Very clean.
Because his health circumstance forced him to see.
What most people don't see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So for a period of time there with his Parkinson's, he's like, you know what, Dad, the finality of life, I'm dealing with it now for decades before he actually, so he was able to wrap it and button it up.
And so what can we learn from that? I mean, think about that, right? So he had Parkinson's disease. He knew his time was short.
Yeah.
But one thing that's guaranteed for all of us right now in this studio and all y'all listening is that we gonna die. We are going to die.
Yeah.
Then what?
Right.
Then what about your loved ones?
Right.
Right. The thing that breaks my heart.
Death and taxes. Two certain things, right? Death and taxes.
But death when people don't have anything to give. 2 very prominent people I know passed away recently. I mean, and when I say prominent in terms of impact.
Yeah.
And they didn't have adequate life insurance, bro. And it's like who you were when you were living, to me, was big.
Yeah.
I mean, huge impact in terms of what you were delivering. And then you die, and I lose respect for you.
You go out like that.
Because I realized that you didn't plan adequately for your family. You didn't protect your legacy, all that work, all the things that you created, and you checked out like that.
Yep. And people are passing around a hat to collect money to bury you.
GoFundMe.
I would freaking GoFundMe. I can go off on
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe's not supposed to be insurance.
No.
You know, GoFundMe's not supposed to be insurance. GoFundMe is supposed to be a company that raises money for your book, for your idea, for your new company. It wasn't supposed to be for your healthcare emergency.
Or for your field trip.
Right. No, it's not supposed to be for that. And on top of that, GoFundMe takes 15% of what you collect as their fee, not including the credit card charges that Visa and MasterCard impose when you pay for $10 and $15, whatever you contribute to GoFundMe. But GoFundMe is not supposed to be life insurance. GoFundMe is reactive to a situation. But if you want to be successful in life, you want to go from survivability to status to freedom, and we'll talk about the 4th phase later, you've got to be proactive.
What is the 4th phase?
4th phase is purpose. You're doing what you're doing right now because you're purposed. You're doing what you're now because you're legacy-minded. You're doing what you're doing right now because you realize that a lot of people don't have the same situation you do, and you want to pull them up to the next level. It's people helping people. It's you pulling people. You know, people don't look for a hand out. People look for a hand up.
Absolutely.
And that's what being in purposed category means to me.
So we're going to talk about purpose because to me, purpose and money go together. And You know I love purpose, man. Purpose is everybody who's listening knows when he said purpose, they were like, "Oh, here we go."
That's his button.
Yeah. But here's the thing: survivability, right, is where some people are in terms of they're just trying to survive. That's what working money is all about. Mm-hmm. Then for others, it's status, like how can I make it to the next level, right? But they're not free. So the next level is freedom. You and I have freedom.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And part of the reason I believe we have freedom is because we know our purpose.
Yeah,
so now all the work we're doing is purpose-based. Yeah. You know what, as an entrepreneur, gives me comfort?
What's that?
My purpose.
Bam.
I know that God put me on this planet to do the work I'm doing.
Well, what's the saying? Two biggest days of your life: the day you're born, and the second one is the reason why you were born.
When you realize why you were born.
There it is.
And so when you have that, that's what gave me the courage to walk out of corporate America, leave the status. Because let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. When you say I'm vice president, this, that, and that, and officer of that, people are like, ah. When you say, hey, what do you do? Well, I'm an entrepreneur and a life coach. They're like, oh. Okay.
It's kind of like on Facebook, people say, I got a job. And everybody's like, oh, God bless you. Awesome. God's good.
Exactly.
And then you say, I started a business. Crickets.
Nothing. They're like, it's almost like funeral music, like a violin. Yeah. And what they don't know is that you just took a step towards freedom.
Man.
I mean, there should be church bells going off, man.
You know what? The way I process that is you're reminding people in your network, your friends and family, coworkers,
that they're in bondage,
and you're reminding them that they are.
Yep, you are.
And the fact that you broke those chains and you're moving on and up is like, man, I was more comfortable with him back here. It's kind of speaking of bondage. It's kind of like everybody going to church this morning, right? So, well, most people. But when the Hebrews were leaving Egypt, mm-hmm. and Moses was leading them across the Red Sea, and they were like, you know what? Let's just go back to Egypt. This is too hard. I'd rather be in bondage.
I'd rather just have a job where I know I'm going to get a check, and I know what the check is going to be.
And somebody's going to feed me. Yep. Little as crappy as it is.
Same thing. And we scoff at that story, right? Oh my God, they wanted to go back.
Yeah.
The Hebrews wanted to go back. That's horrible.
To build a pyramid or be in a pyramid.
Right. That's horrible. And a lot of us find ourselves in the same place.
Yeah.
Find ourselves in the same place when it comes to work. And money.
Look at that mirror. You know what I love about mirrors?
What's that?
They don't lie.
That's true.
Mirrors tell you the truth, man.
Exactly what it is. All right, everybody. So you've been listening to Linal Harris on Inspirational Perspective. My guest in the studio, Matt Sapaula. Also have two people on his team. We're gonna hear a little bit from them, Brandon and Rosie. It's nothing like hearing from a leader's followers. Right? So what do they have to say about
snap.
About Matt Sapaula and why they follow this guy? I mean, why are they a part of his team? We're going to hear a little bit about that. And also, Matt Sapaula, as I said before, is one of the speakers at the Murder Mediocrity Summit coming up on March 31st, 2018. Hey, one of the things Matt shared is that it's important to have mentors and leaders that you can follow. Right? And the Murder Mediocrity Summit is all about creating an experience that gives you the ability to say, that's who I want to be like. That's who I want to follow. Right? And the cool thing about 21st century is you can follow people and they don't even know. Right? I'm serious. And learn from them. They don't even know you.
Something about virtual mentorship.
Yeah, virtual mentorship. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't need a VCR anymore.
You don't need none of that. All you need is Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, etc., YouTube, and you're all good. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about money. If you enjoyed the first hour, well, I always enjoy talking about money.
Yes.
So you're definitely going to enjoy the second hour. Minister Hayden, I see you on the line there. We're going to pick you up as soon as we come back from break. You've been listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris. Thank you guys so much for joining. 1690 AM. Don't go away. When we come back, money, money, money. All right, you all. This has been good. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. Matt Sapaula, killing it. Let me know what questions you guys have about money. Because this is the Money Smart Guy. All right. I love that handle, by the way, man. Love that
It
handle.
was completely by mistake.
Was it?
Airliner crash.
I started doing radio.
Lawmakers in
Started
Florida
doing
pressured
radio
by students to take action on
and for the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago's Money Smart Week in April of every year. I think it was 07, 08, 06, 07, 08. And so I provide free financial literacy classes,
Okay.
and they do statement stuffers, and I provide those classes. And then CBS Radio and NBC wanted me to represent Federal Reserve Bank to talk about it on air. And so they called our office. So we need to have Matt at 5 o'clock, whatever. And the receptionist goes, well, which Matt? There's Matt, Matt Lancaster and Matt Sapaula. They're like, well, the Matt, I can't remember his name. The guy that does Money Smart Week, the Money Smart guy.
And that's how it came up.
They're like, what they call me? Money Smart guy, bam! You know why? Because they can never say Sapaula on air. They always screw it up.
So you're like, we're just going to call him Money Smart Guy.
What's your website? Matt Sapaula. How do you spell it? Is that one T or two T's? Sapaula, S-A. So I waste airtime
Saying that.
saying it.
Yeah.
Instead of saying Money Smart guy, boom, done.
Done. And
If
they
you
know where
can't,
to go.
yeah, if you can't spell Money Smart guy, don't call me.
Yeah, for real. You got a few lessons first before you get to me. I feel that. Yeah. All right, everybody. So Matt Sapaula in the studio. We're having a good time. We're having a very good time. Next up, money. We're gonna be talking money. So I'm gonna get these guys set up for the next hour. Stick by. This is your bathroom break time. Stick by, and I'm looking forward to the next 60 minutes after this. Okay.
Deputies serve an arrest warrant.
All right, so we're gonna have a caller.
4 days after Maddox was killed, he leaves behind his wife and toddler and the newborn. We're now more than halfway through the Winter Olympics, and not one Russian athlete has won a gold medal yet. I'm Christopher Cruz.
The national debt is now over $20 trillion. What's next? Rising inflation drops in the dollar's value. Some experts say another crash is coming. You can fight this, not with stocks or bonds, but with gold and silver coins in an IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Call 855-858-5807 and learn how an IRA backed by physical gold and silver can hedge against inflation. Call Augusta Precious Metals right now at 855-858-5807 and get a free gold IRA guide. Call 855.
All right.
Hard water, the line scale not only leaves
Money.
costing you hundreds of dollars.
When I was growing up, I didn't have a
eliminate lime
hot
scale
piss
and
in
other
it.
water issues.
Right.
Some of you look at it, man. It's hilarious.
Oh man, we got some cool personalities, man, that come on. So hopefully you're having your morning coffee. See how I have mine.
Go to goodclearwater.com.
I might forget my English.
And we got Spanish listeners. Yeah, we got Spanish listeners. They'll be able to figure it out.
Do you like my shirt?
I do. I'm an entrepreneur. Is that your brand or is that
Yes, PHP.
PHP? Oh, because PHP does the I am an entrepreneur. Okay. Yours is entrepreneur.
Athlete, yeah.
Okay, entre-athlete, okay. All right, let's talk about that. Okay. So when we come back, I'm gonna take. Oh, he hung up. He must have wanted to talk about work, so we just go right into money then. But when we come back, tell us who you are, how they can find you, and just maybe a 2-minute spiel on what you do, and then we're gonna go into money for a second, and then I'm gonna cue these two up so they're gonna share, their thoughts about working with Matt. All right, and then we're gonna spend the rest of the time talking about money. And what people don't know, just kind of give you a heads up, I'll talk about it when we come back. But the 2 questions, like big money mistakes, what are people's biggest money mistakes, like misconceptions they have about money? Financial security and wealth. Like how does one create that? Where does that come from? How did you make your first million? Right? So the few questions that we'll be asking. Sure. Yeah. So. Cool. And $1 million is not a lot of money. Hey man, when I met my financial advisor some years ago, And he's like, congratulations, Linal, you're a millionaire, right? I said, really? He's like, yeah. So he's showing me, he's like, your assets here. He's like, you got a nice amount of cash put up over here, blah, blah, blah. I said, why don't I feel like a millionaire? Right? Don't millionaires like spend whatever they want to spend? He's like, no. Millionaires got to do what you do. Sit down with a financial planner and make sure they keep it, right? So I'm like, man, millions is not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to make 10 million. I mean, I need some, because, $1 million is not a lot of money. And at the time, it was like 1.7. He's like, you're 1.7 in. So I didn't even realize I hit the million mark. It's 1.7. It's like, okay, cool. Then, like a year ago, when my buddies called me, he's like, bro, I just realized I'm a millionaire. He's like super happy, right? And I didn't want to rain on his parade. So I'm like, that's awesome. That's awesome.
You're in the club, but
right. Still got some work to do, right? So I'm like, that's awesome, man. We're gonna have a drink and celebrate it. 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, hey, L, $1 million is not a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you get a nice car, you get a nice house, but it's not like you out here just throwing cash. Yeah.
So how do you guys think that $1 million is not a lot of money? We don't.
I don't think it's a lot of money.
We don't think $1 million is a lot of money for some, but aren't you glad that we're murdering mediocrity this morning?
Absolutely.
Like $1 million is not a lot of money. See, that's why you need to hang around people that don't think making $1 million is a lot of money. Otherwise, you stagnate. So I think we're coming back. Okay, we're coming back.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or participating sponsors.
Live from the Xfinity Studios at WVON. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris on 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
All right, we're back. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago. Well, we've already had a great hour during the 7 a.m. hour talking about work, a little bit about money, but mostly work. I got Matt Sapaula in the studio with me. Matt is the Money Smart Guy. If you go to @MoneySmartGuy on almost any of your...
Yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere.
Okay.
Website. Yeah.
And how can they find you outside of that?
How can they find me? Outside of the social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, my website is moneysmartguy.com.
Okay.
And our office is in Oak Brook. Not that I grew up in Oak Brook, but our office is in Oak Brook, and I run a company called PHP Agency. And we have 52 offices across the country, and we happen to run the number one office of HP Agency all across the country in Oak Brook, right here, suburb of Chicago.
So the number one office in the country for PHP Agency is your office.
That's my office, yeah.
And you lead that office.
I lead that office, and we got a lot of great partners over there too as well. So I can't take all the credit.
Got it. See, that's what leaders do, right there, right there.
Yeah.
You don't take all the credit. You say, hey, I wouldn't be there without my team.
Oh, of course not.
I wouldn't be there without my team.
Yeah.
So that's a great place for us to talk to, two of the individuals on his team. So I have Brandon, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Brandon and Rosie. So, tell me a little bit about why you chose to work with Matt and why you chose this particular industry.
So actually, I come from a sound engineering background.
Okay.
Right. So music. So the first time in the studio for a while, but honestly, as a millennial, one of the reasons why it hit home with me to work with Matt was I remember I was 20 years old, talking to this guy. He taught me one thing I didn't know when I was, young, which is a word I've never heard of, which is entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Right. So going through high school, and say go to college, right? And I remember, you know, I was a typical teenager. You know, went to Romeoville High School. Okay. And then lived on the west side of Chicago with my mom. And with Matt, it was just, you know, I seen something that I wanted to be, right? You know, I always dreamed of it, but college wasn't a thing for me. Dropped out of college, went down to Florida, came back up here, didn't have anything to do. Met Matt, taught me about entrepreneurship, and I seen a lot of my friends working corporate jobs, which is something I never wanted. Got it. Now, just to put it in perspective, here we are in the studio talking with two guys, surrounding myself with two guys that are talking about $1 million isn't a lot of money. You know, my mom, she's never made more than $30,000 in her entire life. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I've seen her go through a lot of financial struggles, and now, you know, as a millennial at 25 years old, I'm sitting in a studio talking about how $1 million isn't a lot of money. But growing up, you know, where I come from, that's $1 million sounds like a lot of money. Yeah, yeah. And as millennials, another thing is mentorship, right? So I've seen someone that's obviously been where I want to be, and has gone through obviously what I'm about to experience. So I just tied myself to Matt and wanted to just simply learn from him.
So how easy is it, Brandon and Rosie? I want to hear from you too. But how easy is it to follow Matt? Because often leaders like Matt, I know myself, I'm not the easiest. I mean, I'm respectful, right? But I'm gonna challenge you. Yeah. Does he challenge you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You ever been mad at him?
A lot.
Yeah. And you still hang out with the guy
all the time. Why? One thing. So the perspective of like a millionaire, right, is like, man, it must be hard to get around him. One reason why, you know, I always stuck around Matt, it's easy to be around him if you're willing to do it. You know, he's always willing to teach you as long as you're willing to put in the work, as long as you're willing to show up. Right. He told me yesterday, hey, you know, I've been shooting video with him. He told me, hey, show up 6 o'clock at my house. So I knew I had to wake up at 5 o'clock. I was there at 6 o'clock, so he'd come down here.
All right, and it's not always easy, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, but worth it in the long run, because I'm sure you're learning some things that have changed your mentality.
Absolutely.
What's the number one thing you've learned from Matt so far? Like, if you had to, I'm gonna leave you and go to Rosie real quick. Yep. But when I come back, I want to hear that. The number one thing that you've learned from Matt. But Rosie, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm well. So, you know, this Matt Sapaula guy. I mean, you know, why are you hanging out with Matt?
See, I think Matt touched bases on this earlier. One of the things I really appreciate about him is he's willing to grind and hustle, like go out and be in the trenches with you. You know, and a lot of leaders just take the leadership position and they just want you to follow them, but they're not willing to go out in the trenches with you. You know, and so Matt's such a humble guy that it doesn't matter. I think it's going to get to the point where it doesn't matter how much money he makes. He's still going to be there for you. But one of the things, like, I also respect is, like, when he asked me one time, I think I was asking for advice, and he's like, Rosie, do you see me as your mentor? You know, because just because he has the leadership position or the leadership title doesn't mean that, you know, everyone's going to follow him. So he's like, do you see me as your mentor? Do you see me as your leader? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, well, let me tell you what you need to do. Right? So he's not just going to tell you what you need to do, because a lot of people are not just going to listen and go and follow him. Right. But if you want me to tell you, I'm going to tell you. Exactly. And then you got to do it. Right. So he enrolled you in following. Yeah. Like, hey, if you see me this way, then, you know, you got to do what I say. Right. Got it. And Matt, I find it as a leader, Brandon, I'm coming over there, man. I hope you got it for me. I find as a leader that all too often, you know, people want to achieve your level of success, right? Like, I get people who call me and say, you know, Linal, tell me the top 3 things that made you successful. And when I tell them, they like, oh, you know.
It sounds like work.
Yeah, it sounds like work. Well, that don't sound sexy.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And so as a leader, how do you handle that? You know, in terms of, have you ever fired somebody from you're like, hey man, you know what? It's time for you to roll. You ain't ready.
Yeah, they've witness to that. Okay. So, yeah, they've witnessed that because I refuse mediocrity. I refuse somebody to say, you know, in much as they're capable. We got a young lady, Sarah Gaver, in our Jacksonville office. She's literally in a wheelchair. Okay. And she controls it. She can't even high five you. As much as we're high fiving out, she can't high five. But you know what? She's outperforming a lot of people in the company
Mentally tough.
Mentally tough.
Mentally
and
tough.
And when we recognize people in our conventions, for example, in August when we have Kevin Hart come out to convention, we're going to recognize people on stage in front of Kevin Hart, in front of Oscar De La Hoya. She can't get to the stage because she's in a wheelchair, so we're looking at making some modifications to ramp up
so she can get up there.
So she can get up there because she deserves it.
Because you know she's going to be on stage.
I know she's going to be on stage.
I already know it.
Yeah,
love it.
She's a TED Talk speaker and all that stuff. So, it starts right here. What are most people's excuses when we have sound mind, sound body, which you talked about earlier? Self-talk.
Which is self-talk. Self-talk. Yep. Are you telling yourself you can't do it? Yep. Because whatever you say, Henry Ford said it best. If you believe you can't, you can't. Right. Brandon, number one lesson you learned from Matt Sapaula. Coming over there next, Rosie. Number one lesson. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from Matt Sapaula?
To murder mediocrity.
I think he's buttering me up.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, just being around this guy, again, from where I come from, mediocrity is, you don't even think about it. It's natural, right? You hang out with friends and their parents make the same amount of money as your parents, or a little bit less or a little bit more, but it's not at the level that a lot people like Matt are at.
It's what happens is mediocrity becomes normal.
Absolutely.
And by the way, mediocre is just basically average.
Yeah.
That's it. Mediocre coffee right here. I'm not gonna say where I got it from, but mediocre coffee right now. I mean, I'm drinking it. It's all right, but is it gonna make me go back?
Exactly.
Right. So. And who wants to be that in terms of their performance and what people think about them and how you show up?
Craziest thing I've always thought about, I played baseball for 15 years, and people will stay average, but their mind is always telling them that they want to be great.
Yeah.
But they don't want to put in the work for it.
Exactly. That's the mental conflict that I think a lot of people are in.
They tell themselves it's okay to be average, but their mind is always thinking something greater.
Right. So one part of the brain is like, dream big, you can do this. And the other part of the brain is like, yeah, but this is all right.
We're cool right here.
Yep. Jim Collins wrote the book, Good to Great.
Yep.
Right? And why it's so hard to go from good to great.
Yep.
And how good is the enemy of great. You got to get sick of your good in order to really take it to the next level and be great. We're gonna be talking about that at the summit as well. Man, I hope you listening. You're gonna be there. This is gonna be a good time. From 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Saturday, March 31st, 2018. This is the kind of conversation we're gonna be having. And by the way, it's not just a conversation, but it will be an experience. Rosie, what's the number one thing you learned from this guy over here?
I learned the pursuit of happiness. And like, to me, that means that, I seen Matt go through from having nothing pretty much to building something phenomenal. But you have to go through those struggles, and to see someone go through something like that, it lets me know that I have to go through all of those, objections and struggles in life and sacrifice a lot of things in order for success to feel much sweeter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the pursuit of happiness.
Excellent. All right, so Matt.
Yep.
No, and I love this, by the way. A man who is not afraid, because here's what happened, right? I'm like, hey, on a break, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna ask, your folks a little bit about you. He just chuckled. Hey, let me tell you, some people really look like death.
Really? When you ask that question?
Yeah. Hey, they're not here to talk.
Yeah.
Don't do that, right? But you just chuckle. Okay, yeah, make it happen. I love that. That tells me a lot about who you are as a leader. Let's talk about money, man.
Ka-ching.
So, first and foremost, we know that you didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Right.
All right. And you filed bankruptcy before.
Yeah, 1996, Orange County. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was my 5th year in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
So you know what rock bottom feels like.
I know what rock bottom is. And I only filed it for like $20,000 of total cash.
Okay.
Yeah, so $20,000 of credit cards I filed bankruptcy for.
Wow.
Oh, and a $1,200 Kirby vacuum that I bought for my cousin because I felt sorry for him.
So, I mean, those were kind of money decisions you were making back then.
Poor. For example, I came back from a deployment. It was Thanksgiving. And I said, hey, Marines, we're going to help. We want to help any Marines that don't have any turkey for their family. And so I raised my hand. I said, I love turkey, whatever. I need some financial assistance. So my first sergeant comes to my house in base housing. and delivers a box full of turkey, yams, and sweet potato, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he goes, come here real quick, come here. I'm like, well, what's going on? First, what I do? Come up to your driveway. So I go to my driveway, because we just came back from the deployment, and what did I buy? I bought a brand new car. And he goes, you telling me you're having financial problems and you got a brand new car sitting in your driveway?
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, why? Don't all Marines buy brand new cars when they come back from deployment? Yeah, but they don't ask for financial assistance if they did. Get your mind right. Get your money right.
Get your mind right.
Right, that's what he said. First Sergeant Johnson.
So let me tell you something, because yesterday my wife and I, we were in the kitchen. And actually I think I was talking to my mom too. So it was like, I'm talking to my mom, but those things turn into three-way conversations real quick. But I was just saying that the two main reasons I believe people get into financial trouble: houses and cars.
Yeah.
Living in a house that's too big for their financial well-being.
Yeah.
And driving a car that they cannot afford.
Yeah.
That really should be maybe a decade from now, right? They're trying to live, the life they could live a decade from now if they just live the life they're supposed to live right now.
Bam. And it's tough because, especially, I think more so cars, especially when you're younger. A guy.
Yeah.
I remember buying a car and putting $5,000 of stereo equipment in it, and then a couple years later, I yanked it all out. Could barely sell for $500.
Exactly.
Because the technology changed.
Yep. Or putting wheels that's worth $5,000.
Oh, rims. I mean, stupid stuff that we did.
Yep.
And I did that for years. Mm-hmm. So before I'm the money smart guy, I was the money dumb guy, right? And sadly, when it comes to financial literacy, which is not taught in our schools,
not at all.
Academic education is taught in our schools.
Yep.
My twins taught me yesterday. They're 16 years old in high school. Says, Papi, why do we got to learn about chemistry? Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna. The only thing I need to know when I grow older is H2O and O2.
Right.
Why do I got to learn about chemistry? Because it's not a class that I'm going to really use in my real life. Because that's not what I want to be. I don't want to be a scientist.
Right.
So you're right. So why is our kids having to go take classes that they're really not going to use? Like, how does the War of 1812 serve us in the 21st century? But learning how to manage your finances, learning how to negotiate with your landlord, a car, those type of things. Why do we learn from our bad experiences with money and not any of our good? You know why? Because financial education, not academic education, financial education is not taught in the school system. And what happens is you have generational unaware children with generationally unaware parents.
Yep.
And next thing you know, that's the blind leading the blind.
And because I saw my parents do it, I will do it the same. As a matter of fact, in the Atlantic, there was an article about African American wealth and how what's happening is the parents have hit a certain level, like higher than higher than any African American in the past, 300-400 years in America, and then the children come along and basically it falls apart. Yeah, it all falls apart.
Shirt sleeves in 3 generations.
Yeah.
Right. So one generation busts their tail to make it happen, and 2-3 generations later, it's all gone.
And the reason for that, I believe, is like you said, lack of financial competence and education.
Yeah.
So why do you think? I want your personal opinion. Why do you think that a person can go to school for 16 years, right? And then by the way, in some cases, add another 2 to 4, right, to get something in front of their name and still not know how to use money or the science of money. How is that possible?
If there's a conspiracy theory behind it that the government and its banks want to keep us stupid because the people are uneducated about money, which is 90% of America, are the ones paying the most amount of taxes and interest on their money. And financially, we're shackled down, we're financially in bondage, and that's where the banks like us.
Yep. Because, then we have our money in the bank.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the bank's never going to loan you money when you need it.
Yeah.
The bank's going to give you money when you don't need it.
Exactly.
But when are we ever in a position?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here you go.
Whenever we're in a position where we don't need money.
Yeah.
See, that's the rub.
Yep.
And so when I started driving, by the way, our office is in Oak Brook. I never grew up in Oak Brook. I took the bus through Oak Brook as a kid.
Okay.
Going from Cicero to the good malls. Going and hanging out at the malls as a kid.
Right.
And I took the 302, 322 bus to get to the good malls. Always going by Oak Brook. I'm like, what the heck are these people doing?
Yeah.
Big homes,
nice cars.
Gates to their home look like a business,
right? But
that's somebody's house. I'm like asking, what do they do? Well, number one, I found out the majority of them were in finance, right? Number two,
so they understand money.
And number two, generationally speaking, somebody knew about finance and handed down old money. So I want to be tomorrow's old money.
Right.
I'm not old money yet, but
Right.
I want to be tomorrow's old money to hand my kids something. And an exercise here too is we don't appreciate and value what we get for free. We only value and appreciate what we work for. I'll give you a quick example. My daughters, they wanted cell phones, Samsung, 2, 3, always broken because I always got them the cheap phones, for Christmas.
Right.
Broken phones. Christmas gift. You think you're a good parent? Give them a phone. Next thing, a week later, it cracks screen.
Right.
And you're like, what, am I going to fix this every week?
Right.
Now they got a job working at Mickey D's. They can work for their dad. No. You're going to work for Mickey D's. You're going to learn how to appreciate what your daddy's doing.
Right.
So work for Mickey D's on holidays, like your dad does, and now they have new phones.
And they don't crack them.
And my God, I said, babe, those phones look beautiful. You have a protector on it.
Because they had to buy it.
Screen protector on it, right?
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because they're valued for it, because they're paying for it.
They're paying for it.
And even though we're talking making $1 million, I can literally pay for a kid's college education today. But you know what I won't do when they graduate high school? Is pay for the college.
Make them work for it.
I'm going to make them work for it.
Yeah.
Because they're going to value that education.
A lot of gems Matt just dropped there. So Matt, what are some of the, we talked about some of the money mistakes that people make, so living in a home that you can't afford or by the way, maxes out, your financial capabilities. So now you're stressed and now you stay in bondage, right? But let me tell you, if I had bought a home that I could afford, based on, the general concept,
sure,
I wouldn't have been able to leave corporate America. No way.
Yeah.
Right? because it would have been a large mortgage and my level of stress and anxiety to walk away from something that felt secure, right? Quote unquote, felt secure. Because we also know that it's not necessarily secure. It would have been very difficult for me to do.
Yep.
But often many people make those mistakes. What are some of the other big mistakes that the average person will make when it comes to money?
So the first one I would address before it comes to any fiscal guidance is number one is mental guidance. You got to feel like you deserve it.
Ah, yes.
You got to feel like you deserve to get out of the hood. You got to deserve you deserve not to be broken, having a 440 credit score, not be living a paycheck. You got to feel like you deserve it. And you have a tenacious desire to get anything that comes your way to get you out of that rut. Because I said before, we've been broke before, but being poor is settling for it, and being poor is a condition of the heart. So number one, mentally you got to feel like you deserve it. Number two, you got to find ways to create a side hustle. So if you got a job right now, you always got to have a plan B. I'll give you an example. Jane Bree Cruz, we're mentoring them right now in business. Her job, she's so frustrated with her job, she's got 5 responsibilities, but not a pay raise for all 4 of them. Same salary as she had. And so she worked on Plan B. We're mentoring in business. She got insurance license. She's seeing clients. She's finding success in it. They both make a 6-figure income, but yet they still feel broke.
Right.
Kids, lots of things, expenses. By the way, more people making $100,000 a year are feeling like they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh.
Right?
When I first crossed 6 figures.
Yeah.
When I first crossed 6 figures, I wasn't making the best money choices, and I was trying to figure out am I still stressing about
like this
money?
is it?
I'm making 6 figures a year. Why am I thinking about my money like this, right? Yeah. And that's when I started making some significant changes. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is dead on. I want to address something you said about deserving money.
Yep.
And those of you who are listening, hear me. You deserve money. You deserve money. If you cannot be with that statement, you will never have it.
That's right.
It will elude you. Yeah. That's the first piece, is the mental toughness to actually change your relationship to money mentally. I deserve money. I deserve financial freedom. But then I'm going to take it one step further.
Sure.
I am financially free.
Yeah.
Right? I do have money. And I would tell you to be specific about the amount of money that you have.
I made my first $1 million after an investment in me for less than $500.
How about that?
Right. So you don't need. So the whole saying you need money, make money.
Right.
Not my situation.
Right.
I found an industry that was very wealthy, which is the insurance industry. I found a platform that allowed me a system and a culture to be successful without a college degree or a financial business background, and I made my first $1 million. And then,
what did you have to invest? I mean, so you spent but you had to invest something. I mean, so you invested $500.
Time.
Yeah.
That's what I invested. And either we got time to burn or we got money to burn. We very rarely, people listening to the show have both.
Yep.
So I had time to burn. And my time was the unnecessary sleep I was having. Listen, if you sleep in, I found, for me personally, if maybe it's coming from the military, I found that if you got 5 or 6 hours of sleep a day, we're good. I mean, everybody, you need 8, 9, 10 hours. Listen, you're sleeping your dreams away, man. I dream with my eyes wide open.
I like that. You sound like Drake.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
And in terms of deserving money, right? But life doesn't give you what you deserve. Life will only give you what you're willing to fight for.
That's true.
You fight for your family. You fight for your legacy. You fight for people love and care about. You fight for the fact that your kids ask you something, you don't have to say, we can't afford it. Because you know what language that is? It's called Brokenese.
Yep.
It's not Japanese. It's Brokenese.
Brokenese.
And you're teaching kids, I can't afford. I can't even ask my mom for anything.
And you're teaching them a mentality as a result of that. Yep.
100%.
So you deserve money. You said side hustle.
Yeah, create a side. You gotta have a plan B. Because Jay and Bree, what happened? They started making $6,000, $8,000 a month part time. They started making more money part time entrepreneurs than they worked a full time job. And she said, "I'm ready to write my resignation letter. I'm ready to go."
Yep.
Right. And next thing you know, the job beat her to the punch. They had to let her go before she was even. I don't know if she would have tipped off to it.
Right.
But they let her go before
she was ready.
But she was ready.
She was ready.
And she wasn't freaking out. You know what most people do when they get laid off? Oh my God. Same thing, my business partner, Rudy Ortiz and Rosie, he's worked for the state of Illinois at the Thompson building. And he had a side hustle, making more money part-time than it was full-time. Job lets him go. He's high-fiving everybody in the conference room. Like, you're the happiest person I've ever laid off. You know why? Because I took control of my finances. You don't control me. You laying me off doesn't control my finances.
Let me tell you the beauty of this. So I talked about in the last hour how I was in corporate America that last year. I felt like I was in bondage. The cool thing that I didn't share was my side hustle, coaching, right? Okay. Transforming lives, was making money that could sustain me.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was able to do was I was able to step forward in boldness in my workplace as the only black male executive, right?
Wow.
I could say things that sometimes I know my CEO will be like,
"How you getting away with that?"
Like,
yeah,
you
think you're getting away
with it, right? But I could talk to you like that because while I might have to be here because the commitment is to show up, I don't have to be here because I do have something else I could be doing that will sustain.
And how much more valuable was your counsel to your CEO in the process?
Well, I don't know that he really listened to it.
Yeah, you're right. Regardless if you listen to it or not.
Right, but I was able to be me and show up as a powerful leader and stay in personal integrity with myself.
Right. So you financed your integrity.
Exactly. And this is the thing. If you don't have a side hustle, then you are preparing to fail.
And not side hustles.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
Side hustle.
So some people come to me, I got so many irons in the fire. Yeah, but how many of those irons are actually bringing you money? I got multiple streams of income. They're trickling. You want one Mississippi River bringing you money.
Right.
So focusing on that because so many people are confused today. Do I do real estate? Do I do Bitcoin? Do I do T-shirts? Like, find one. And then master it.
I'm with you on that.
Master it for 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because what happens is we get distracted.
Yeah.
And it's case in point. I have a client right now who created something powerful in 2017. And she's headed down that road, and then another investment opportunity came. And I'm like, yo, that's resistance. That's just testing your resolve to say whether or not you really want to do this.
That's right.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And she chose to stay on her path, and what she chose blew up. Now she's like, oh, I'm so happy. But so many people take the detour. Yeah. And then
distracted by the next shiny object.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's always going to be shiny objects. There's as much as there's power in yes, there's much more freedom in the word no.
So how does one create financial security? I mean, we've been talking about this. I know you're going to share, in terms of the pillar of working money, your story, and a lot of this at the summit. By the way, the summit, the Murder Mediocrity Summit, is March 31st, 2018. If you're looking to buy tickets, you can go to murdermediocrity.com. Right now, they're 30% off, folks.
Yes.
No, don't. Hey, by the way, if you notice, the price keeps going up, right? Especially as I announce, who's going to be there. So, health and well-being, Dr. Camila Stevenson will be there covering that subject. I'm super excited to have her. She's going to be on the show. Then you heard Love McPherson last week, relationships and love. Let me tell you something. One of the things that ruins money is relationship, man.
Of course, there ain't no romance without no finance.
Man, let me tell you, right? Because here's the thing. My wife and I, we've been married going on 3 years in June, okay? And as newlyweds, you have the beauty of being a newlywed, but then also the complication of learning new things about each other.
Yeah.
If money was one of the things that we had to figure out, and we have to have money conversations, but it's not a money conversation from lack or from like, how we gonna pay this, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, what happened to that over there? Yeah. Well, we got to talk about that. So it's things like that, right? Not from a place of lack. I couldn't imagine having a successful marriage, a marriage that has intimacy and romance, if we were broke.
Yep. And 60 to 80%, more 80% of all arguments between husband and wife are money.
Yeah.
So imagine being able to eliminate
80%,
not going to be more on purpose as a marriage, as a couple, as a unit.
So Love is going to be there talking about relationship and money, and then Matt Sapaula is going to be there helping you stay in that romance
right.
and create more intimacy in terms of how to relate to your work and how to relate to money. So Matt, murdermediocrity.com, by the way, to get tickets. So how does one create financial security, right? Because I think the dream, I don't care who we ask. We could talk to the Facebook listeners, those of you on Periscope. Any of you listening right now, by the way, if you want to call in and ask a question, 773-591-1690. Everybody wants financial security. Mm-hmm. I don't care who I don't know one person who would say, nah, I'm straight. I like to financially struggle.
Okay.
How does one create financial security?
I posted this on my Instagram a minute ago. It's 5 different ways. I said 5 different ways to make $1 million. Number one, you can be an employee, right? You can be committed to the man, and hopefully he financially takes care of you. Sadly, is there any loyalty in corporate America?
No.
Okay. Number two, you can be what we call a capital gains millionaire, right? You got to buy something and you got to sell it.
Yep.
I buy shoes, clean them up. I see this kid, the shoe cobbler in Chicago. He buys shoes at the Goodwill store, cleans them up, right, and sells them for $50.
Okay.
That's a capital gains millionaire.
Right.
But you're constantly having to buy and sell. You constantly have inventory.
Right.
Third one is you can be a net worth millionaire. Like on paper, you're making $1 million. You have properties, assets, business ownership, right? That's another way to make millionaire. But it's all on paper. It's not liquid, and we feel a lot of tightness when it comes to that money. Fourth one, you can get lucky. Win a lottery.
Lotto.
Marry right.
But by the way, though, I just read this article. I think it was in the USA Today. They highlighted 10 people who were poor before winning the lotto. And by the way, they won hundreds of millions, right? We ain't talking about 10 million lotto.
Here we go.
They won hundreds of millions of dollars.
But here we go. Tell the truth, though.
And then all 10 of them,
come on,
within 2 years were broke.
Yeah, you know why? Because then the first thing we talked about.
Mental.
Exactly.
They were still poor mentally.
There's still holes in their foundation.
Yep.
And no matter how much money or water you pour into the situation,
it's just going to flow out. It's going to flow out.
It's just slower.
Yeah.
But there's still holes. That's why you got to plug up.
Hey, man, 2 years ain't slow, bro.
Boom,
I mean, 100 million in 2 years? What did you do?
Right. Hey, you know somebody that made a lot of money and bought Lambos, Ferraris, a house, boom, next thing it's all gone.
Gone.
Because the holes.
And we know a lot of people like that.
And he was trying to guide him in the right way. He didn't want to listen.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so you can get lucky. So what I'm hearing is you can get lucky, but that might not. I don't know if we can add that. I hate to bust your list up, Matt, but I don't know if we can add that to financial security, because if you're lucky without the right mindset, well, if I get lucky, I'm financially secure. I mean, if I win, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I win 300 million, it's on.
Yeah. It's right.
It's on.
I mean, imagine if you luckily got a millionaire, and then because of those associations and people coming at you, somebody finally guides you in the right way.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
okay, it. I got it.
And then the fifth way is becoming a cash flow, having a business that provides you cash flow. Residual income.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, and I'm guessing the fifth way is the way you
I do, because I have the most control. And I like having control. Listen, if I have 30 seconds left to live my life and I had to give my kids advice,
right,
one of them would be always maintain control.
Got it.
Always be in control.
Got it. So 2017 was the year of residuals for me. That's what I called it. And that's when I was like, all right, Linal, you're doing well in terms of coaching. You got executive clients, athletes, entrepreneurs. Oh, you're paying the bills. You know, you got money put up. But if something happened to me, as a matter of fact, last year is when my wife and I wrote policy with PHP.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Awesome, man.
Right.
Beautiful.
So, partly because if something happened to me, I need to make sure we're financially secure. I need to make sure that nothing changes in the life of my wife and my son.
Yeah.
If I can't talk on the radio, right? I mean, all it takes is a serious mouth injury, and it happens, right? 80% of Americans are disabled before they pass away.
You just mentioned Muhammad Ali. He was a talker.
Yeah, he was a talker.
And then health challenge.
Yeah. So if I can't do this, how do I make sure they're going to be taken care of, right? That was the thing for me. Okay, so the year of residuals. So not only did I create products in my business that could sell while I'm asleep, right? But I also wrote a large policy for my wife and I to make sure that if something happened to one of us, right, we would have cash flow, still coming into the home, right? And maybe you can talk a little bit about the policy I got. I think you know what policy I got.
Yeah.
Right. So I would still have cash flow coming into the home that would make us financially secure.
Yeah. So absolutely. I think financial security, and that's why the insurance industry was created. I mean, insurance goes back 2,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the Roman soldiers, when they did time in the Roman army, they got paid what they called annuitatum, which was now called an annuity, which the common version is pension.
Right.
And that's what it was. And so, for example, I'm not an agent, but Rosie is, and she sells policies all the time through PHP Agency. When we sit down with clients, for example, when you got a policy, who's your agent? You know, mom and
my mom and Juan.
And Juan, right? With Juan Maldonado and your mom. Because life insurance policy today is a great way to create financial security, especially when we don't have a lot of money. I mean, think about it. We have cell phones. How often does a person at the Best Buy or whatever say, okay, great, you bought this product. Would you like to insure it to make sure if it breaks?
All the time.
DVD player, car insurance, before you roll off the car lot.
Yep, insurance.
You got to have insurance. You close on a house you bought.
Yep, insurance.
You need a homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
But how come we don't insure the thing that pays for it all?
Yeah.
Which is life insurance. It's not supposed to be GoFundMe, but life insurance.
Me.
Right.
Me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so life insurance, commonly people think that, three functions of life insurance today, people only think about it one time. People think that life insurance is only when you die. It's not.
No.
Life insurance today, modern policies today, in case you have a change in health, a heart attack, stroke, cancer, you get into a car accident, you can't walk, you can't eat, you can't go from one bedroom to another. That's called the activities of daily living.
Yep.
If you can't, athletes love this too as well because of the whole CT and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Tearing up a knee. If you can't perform a physical function because of a change in health, life insurance today will pay you that death benefit while you're alive.
And so that's why, I said 2017 was the year of residuals, right? That's why I purchased the policy I purchased. And maybe talk a little bit about that policy. And I don't know that everybody can get into a policy like that, but I think in terms of financial security, this is important, right? Because I tell you guys all the time, my job is to help you live the best life possible, right? So, and by the way, my purpose is to help myself and others live the best life possible, right? So me first, and then I help you guys, right? So one of the things for me, in 2017, been 2 years as an entrepreneur, and one of the things that went over my mind, my wife had our son, and I'm like, okay, something happens to me, and everything's all good. Let's say a head injury. I'm not the brilliant coach that people know me to be, right? And I can't coach anymore. How do I maintain this level of living? Where if it is having to sit at home and watch Maury, that at least when I want to go out, I can drive the same car. Right? My wife can drive the same car. And my son can go to the same schools, do all the things that I envision, I dream for him to do. Right? So that's why I got this particular policy. But tell us a little bit more about this. And by the way, let me tell you something, guys. I'm not trying to sell you on a thing. I'm just trying to help you live the best life possible. My purpose is your success. So share a little bit about this.
Yeah, so would you build a financial home? Or would you build a home, not financial home? Would you build a home without a solid concrete foundation?
No.
That'd be stupid, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with our finances. Would you build a financial home without a solid foundation? And that's what life insurance is. Before the 401ks, before the real estate, before the stocks, before the businesses, life insurance is what allows you, if everything was to collapse and a financial hurricane was to come in, at least you can financially rebuild. And that's what financial security through the life insurance industry provides. And in the worst times of life, I've done real estate, I've done stocks, bonds, mutual funds, I've done all that stuff. But nothing provides money during people's worst financial moments in their life that life insurance does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's many clients, and that's what PHP Agency does. We go into the neighborhoods that the traditional life insurance industry has overlooked and underserved, because the average age of an agent in the industry today is a 60-year-old Caucasian male.
Which means that for the most part, they're not serving people like us.
Correct.
Right? And they're not serving my listeners.
Right.
Who, by the way, I believe needed more than the wealthy.
Yep.
Right? Chris Rock, he had a special years and years ago. It was in South Africa. And he was like, let me tell you something. Millionaires and divorces, he was like, it ain't that bad, right? You have a millionaire, he's got $200 million, his wife take half. He still got $100 million, right? He was like, but if I'm the regular Joe Blow on the street and I get making 30 grand a year and you take half, I might have to do something about that, right? Like, he was just, half of $30,000 is $15,000. That's a significant change. Yeah. But what happens is, and I want to talk about this. What happens is when someone says, hey, Matt, hey, man, you need to think about life insurance. Mm-hmm. Some people have a way of being like, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. What gives us that feeling? I mean, I know for me, right? So I have multiple policies, but every time I purchase a policy, there's been resistance. Every time. Why? The resistance for me is I'm spending money on something that I can't feel in touch right now.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah. That's the resistance. Yeah. I mean, this last policy I bought is the most expensive policy I had now. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that money's coming out every month, and I can't feel it today.
Right.
Right? Now, it is for something in the future to provide security. Yeah. But I'm curious for you, like, what other types of resistance do you notice in this business?
So, for example, before I'm in the position I'm at right now, as a chairman's counsel, as a coach, teacher, mentor, leader, recruiter, agency developer, I was an agent for 12 years. So I was a licensed agent from 1998 to 2010. So those 12 years, by the way, just because of those 12 years in this license, in this industry, I was able to make multiple high six-figure income.
Okay.
Right? So I learned how to sell, and I was selling in a wealthy industry. But the resistance I think people have is the context of what they relate life insurance towards.
Okay.
That everybody's going to enjoy it, not me. Right? And I don't want to finance my wife's next boyfriend. Right?
That's why you got to have a living trust.
Right?
Yeah. You can handle that.
And that's exactly exactly it. Because with life insurance, if you do it right, by having a trust, you can control the money from the grave.
That's right.
Right? And so,
because by the way, my wife ain't gonna have no living boyfriend. Based on my trust, it don't go like that. Yeah, you can't be living with nobody. Yeah,
right? Exactly. Yeah. And those documents can be sent. And why do people think that way? Lack of financial literacy, lack of financial education in our school system. Here's why. When I got involved in the life insurance industry, and they told me the youngest a person can get a life insurance policy is 9 days old. I'm thinking to myself, who gets a policy for a 9-year-old policy? Is number one, people who are thinking wealthy.
Yeah.
Like
Legend has a policy.
Yeah, right.
That's the first policy we wrote with you guys.
9 days old.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking legacy.
Yeah.
They're thinking a living legend. Right? They're thinking the old money down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Broke mentality says, what's the point? Now, Rockefeller, everybody talk about Rockefeller, 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York.
Right.
Rockefeller was the Sam Walton, Jeff Bezos, Amazon of his time.
Yeah.
The first thing he bought in the early 1900s was a $250,000 life insurance policy. Back then, life insurance policy back then were like $250, $500. So for him to buy a $250,000 policy in the early 1900s, so what did that do? It funded the Rockefeller Foundation. And the Rockefeller children are still billionaires today.
Wow. All right, we got a couple questions, man. I got Michelle who has an insurance response. Michelle, how are you on the air?
I'm great, thank you, and thank you too, Maddie Matt. I call you Maddie Matt. I know who you are. Thank you both so much for coming on. It's been a great 2 hours, Linal.
Awesome.
I have a question about insurances. And here it is. Here's the situation. My mother had an insurance policy before she passed that would pay for all of her debt.
Okay.
How is it possible that the insurance policy that was completely paid for, that would pay all of her debt, mysteriously disappeared, and there was absolutely covered up no evidence of her having after she passed.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah, I don't see how that is possible. Sometimes people think that a life insurance policy they purchased, was it a policy they purchased through the credit card, through the bank? How did you purchase that?
I don't. She's already gone.
Oh, she's already gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes people think that credit life insurance is actually life insurance. Because life insurance, contractually speaking, if something happens to you and you have a policy with an actual insurance company, an investment grade insurance company, is that. And at the same time, where's the agent? I like to know where the agent. For example, Rosie, when you write life insurance policies, they're with an actual. They have a policy in hand with an 800 number. And worst case scenario, if they didn't pay the claim, you can always file your grievances with the Life and Health Insurance Guarantee Association of Illinois, which is right here in this place.
So the other thing too to consider, Matt, is I know for me, I had great life insurance through my job, but when I left to be an entrepreneur, it's gone. Yeah. Right, and I knew that, which is one of the reasons why I was like, okay, let me go ahead and take care of this for myself. Right, I'm gonna set this up to make sure we're financially secure. But that's something else where, for your loved ones, when you're talking to them, you need to get very clear about what type of insurance. Is it through the job? Is it something they purchase? And if they purchase it through what company? Is it PHP agency? Is it, one of these other organizations out here, right? And where is the paperwork?
Where's the contract?
Yeah, I tell my wife all the time, something happened to me, top drawer in my file cabinet, and it says life insurance.
And this is my agent.
Yeah.
Right.
It says life insurance. You go in that and you start making phone calls and everything come together.
That's right, 100%.
Yeah.
So if somebody's buying life insurance, it's so important today because people are buying life insurance through websites and 800 numbers. My best thing is that's the check you want during the worst moments of your life.
Yeah.
You better have representation.
And you want it to come in. You want it to come in. All right, we got another phone call here from Joel. Joel, how are you? You are on the air.
Good morning. My question is, the life insurance is good, but what if you have somebody maybe that had a car accident or maybe they had like open heart surgery or some kind of medical condition to the point where they can only get insurance from their job, but when they try to get insurance through regular insurance, they tell them, no, you can't get insurance because your health.
Yeah.
Let's have our life insurance agent here, Rosie Lagunas, answer that question. Go ahead, Rosie.
Well, that's one of the things, like life insurance, a lot of the times procrastination gets to us and we wait so long that it gets to the point where all of these health risks and all of the things that are happening to our health changes stops us from getting life insurance. But the idea is to get it before you get sick, and it's something that, like, if you've already been through like cancer and stuff like that, we can't really help you. It's something that we can't control. But one of the things that we always teach is financial education is procrastination. We can give you all the tools, give you all the concepts, and get you approved, but we can't help you with procrastination.
And my father had a heart attack in 1998. I got involved in the insurance industry in 1998. I also found out that 5 years after a major health catastrophe, if everything's fine after those 5 years, within those 5 years, they can reapply.
But see, I think we have to remember, Matt, that this is a business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would any of us buy a car that we know doesn't work? Right? So the insurance companies are like, hey, man, we ain't going. Yeah. You already sick. The likelihood that we're going to have to make a payout very soon is here, and so...
The risk is there, and you don't want to insure it.
So, Joel, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but it's just,
Yeah.
What can you do? I mean, I guess maybe you should, if someone is uninsurable, then maybe... What other options would you do? Maybe start more businesses or something?
Yeah, you have to self-insure. That's why the show Breaking Bad, that show Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
The reason why he became Heisenberg was because he couldn't get a life insurance policy and had cancer.
Yeah, and he wanted to take care of his family. So we're not telling you to go deal meth.
No.
But maybe a legal side hustle. Right, a legal side hustle to make sure that you can bury your loved one and take care of them. All right, thanks so much for the phone call, Joel. All right, man. So we got a few minutes left, man. What advice? I mean, you're going to be at the summit, and by the way, I want to be clear about something because when you start talking about life insurance and things, like, oh man, they're trying to sell life insurance. No. What I'm selling, right? Not Matt. I asked Matt to come. What I'm selling is a brand new philosophy on how we think about working money.
Yep.
And if we want to think about work and money, we got to start thinking about it differently.
Yeah, because think about it. I've been doing this for 19 years. I've been in the insurance industry for 19 years. I've got a ton of policies just like you, right?
Yeah.
Life insurance hasn't changed my life.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 19 years.
Yeah.
Life insurance hasn't changed your life.
No, it hasn't.
But it will.
Exactly.
But currently right now, what's changed my life is entrepreneurship. What's changed my life is getting involved in a wealthy industry. What's changed my life is mentors. What's changed my life is being able to give to people, helping them get what they want. So that, and what happens is I get what I want, right? And leading, coaching, teaching people.
So you have a brand called Entre-Athlete. Entre-Athlete.
Entre-Athlete.
Entre-Athlete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Entre-Athlete.
Entre-Athlete. Okay. All right. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy and why you bring athlete into that.
Number one, I'm a frustrated jock.
Okay.
Right?
All right. All right.
I've always wanted to play the big game, but obviously I wasn't physically gifted.
And by the way, everyone, I didn't ask him this earlier on purpose because you got to come to the summit to really hear his philosophy around this concept of entre-athlete. So tell us a little teaser at the end of the show.
Teaser. I treat business like sport. And when I treat business like sport, I can still win my championship. And this prime of my life will not just last for 5, 6, 7, 8 years in my 20s, but being an entre-athlete, if you treat business like sport, this prime can last you for generations.
And is that how you've been successful? Is this philosophy you have around combining entrepreneurship and the mentality of an athlete, the mental toughness of an athlete, the rigor of an athlete? Because by the way, every successful athlete has rigor. LeBron James, right? 12 hours of sleep during the season. People don't know this. 12 hours of sleep during the season. 4-hour workouts every day, right? And then after that, time with his children, and he plays.
Yeah.
That's his rigor, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason he's on top. That takes discipline.
For a sustained period of time.
So this concept of yours around combining entrepreneurship and athleticism, tell me how it's made you successful.
It allows me to say, let me show up early, let me stay late, let me work out, let me study the tape. So for example, when I record myself, how many times people, when they record themselves on video, they say like stuff like this: "Oh, I don't like watching myself on video. I just can't stand here listening to myself."
Yeah.
But you have to.
Yeah.
Because you are selling, you are presenting, you are showing your craft, your specialty, your expertise. And if you don't know how to deliver that in a way that's accepted by a lot of people and received and find a way to be entertaining, they're not going to listen to you.
You're right. So you have to train yourself.
You got to train yourself. Just like an athlete studies opponent.
And athletes are always pushing for the next level.
Yep.
Right? And so what I'm hearing, that some of what you're going to teach us at the summit is how to push for the next level in our work, how to push for the next level in our finances, and the mentality that takes, right? Sure. Because I know for me, I'm sitting here, we got, 4 cameras in the room.
Yeah, sure
right?
do.
There was a time where I would have been petrified to do this show on camera.
Right.
But I had to push myself past that, and now it's like second nature. I'm camera around, I'm talking to the mic, I got the camera going, it's on Matt, then I turn it back on me. All those things are happening, and it's almost automatic, but I have to train myself that. And so what I'm gaining is, one of the things that you're going to help us understand is how to train ourselves to think differently about our work and how we relate to our work, but also think differently about our money and how we relate to that money.
Yeah, because money loves activity. Money loves friends. If you don't have money with other friends that are active, money's going to go away, man.
Man, hey, the people you surround yourself with, people. That's why, so every speaker that's coming to the summit, everybody's married. And I told Pam, I'm like, hey, and I want you guys to know this, right? I told Pam, we're going to dinner with all of them. They're all going to be our close friends.
Yes.
Why? Because every speaker is crazy, madly successful. One, I'm not bringing just mediocre people to a murder mediocrity summit.
Come on now.
Right? Okay. Everybody's vastly successful in their own way, and they're financially secure.
Nice.
Those are the kind of people we want to hang out with, the people we want to learn from, right? So that way, when Matt, Sheena, Pam, and I all sit around talking, guess what we're probably going to end up talking about?
Yeah, ka-ching, ka-ching.
right. And having fun doing it, right? And learning from each other how to make ourselves better.
Right.
So, Matt, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
I'm honored to be here, and I look forward to seeing everybody at the Murder Mediocrity Summit.
MurderMediocrity.com to buy your tickets.
You can go get it. And for those of you watching me on my live stream, make sure you're there. I will be there. Some special things will be, I'm going to do something special for the guys that are following me. But listen, I'm excited to be there. Looking forward to increasing my associations too as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for listening. As always, every Sunday morning, I'm here, Inspirational Perspective with Linal Harris, your coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Let me tell you something. If you just tuned in and you hate that you missed the show, you can go to the Inspirational Perspective Facebook page, like the page, watch the show. You can also watch it on YouTube. Check the show out on YouTube. Follow me at Linal Harris on your social media channels. Go to murdermediocrity.com. Get your ticket. This summit will sell out. Have a wonderful Sunday morning, everyone.
Woo!
Love you.
My man, bro, we just ripped through 2 hours like that, bro.
Yeah, man. That's what we do.
Trump morning's tweet storm. Airliner.
Linal Harris right here, man.
Yep.
Show your brand, bro. Show your t-shirt.
Murder Mediocrity.
That's it, man.
Yep.
Make sure you register for the summit. We'll put the, matter of fact, we put the website right here. Murder.
There you go. There you go. Hey, thank you guys for listening. We got to go. We got to make space for the next host. But as always, I appreciate you all. I hope you got something from this segment. I hope this segment changes your life in some type of way. And if it does, you want to spend the day with me, with Matt, with Dr. Stevenson, with Love McPherson at the Murder Mediocrity Summit. Next week, I'm announcing the actor and comedian that will be there as well. I'm announcing. I'm just waiting for him to sign. All right, but he will sign. And when he does, I'm going to announce it, all right, next week on the show. And by the way, next week, I'm talking about the Black Panther on the show, and I'm talking about my upcoming trip to Africa, Accra, Ghana, and all through Ghana and Africa. So make sure you tune in, all right? Talk to you guys later. Love you.